It's hard to wrestle one match on a show. Aside from the fact you want to put on the best performance possible, meaning your adrenaline is going to be pumping pretty hard, it's also a cardiovascular activity like no other. You can train for as long as you like before your first wrestling session, but as soon as you get there, you'll realize what you're dealing with. During mine, for example, my brain just told me to leave halfway through, even though I would have looked like a maniac. Thankfully, I stayed, but hopefully you get the point. This is why it's doubly impressive when a talent goes out there on a singular night and manages to put in not just one stretch, but two. It must be brutal on you both mentally and physically, because during the first you need to find that balance between putting on a good show, but also holding something back. Either way, it's unlikely you'll ever be able to be as good as you want to be, even though you're amazing regardless for pulling it off. To credit these warriors, however, let's give them their due and shout their names as loud as we can. Well, at a normal level, don't want to be Nia Jax now, do we? I'm Simon from What Culture, and this is the 10 best times WWE stars pull double duty. Right, a quick interlude here, because as I'm saying these words, we have just come off Money in the Bank 2019, where, of course, Becky Lynch pulled double duty. It's too recent for an official consideration, it's just the way the rules work, but not only did the man have to fight both Charlotte Flair and Lacey Evans, she had to do it back to back. That was nuts, but hey, the whole skit was great, especially as, spoiler, there was a Money in the Bank cash-in afterwards as well. Fair play to Becky though, she continues to smash it. Now, back to your regularly scheduled programming. Number 10, Edge. Happening at the Royal Rumble in 2005 and 7 years into his WWE stint, Edge had become the man. He turned heel, was on an upward swing, and knew exactly who he was and where he wanted to go. That's why he was booked to conquer all 14 years ago. Opening the pay-per-view that night, he wrestled Shawn Michaels, which is quite the feat given this was happening on one of the big four. On top of that, the Rated R superstar pinned HBK, which kept his stock on the rise. Admittedly, it wasn't clean and there was some rope assistance thrown in there for good measure, but that's why we called him the ultimate opportunist. To live up to that name, he had to be a bit of a dick, otherwise it wouldn't have worked. Despite doing an almost 20-minute match, Edge still returned to be in the actual Rumble. Clearly no one thought he should have a break because he lasted over 40 minutes and got rid of the likes of Eddie Guerrero, Ric Flair, Shelton Benjamin and Rey Mysterio. He didn't win, but all of this sent a very direct message to the fans. Take Edge seriously, for he is now a big deal. That was then cemented during the first Money in the Bank, which ultimately won him the WWE title, so pulling a double definitely has its perks. Number 9, CM Punk. Moving forward to Extreme Rules 2009, a pay-per-view that's best remembered for the excellent Chris Jericho vs Rey Mysterio IC title match, it was also a night that helped CM Punk on his journey up the card. It also took a toll on his body as he entered a Samoan strap match against Umaga. There's no way that didn't hurt just a little bit. For your own knowledge too, a Samoan strap match is exactly the same as a normal strap match, but as Umaga was Samoan, it morphed into this. Go figure. Punk was able to walk away with his hand raised after strutting around the ring to smack all four corners in order to win. Don't forget he had to do that with a 300-pound man hanging off his back. Didn't wear him out too much though, because he returned later on to challenge Jeff Hardy for the WWE title and cash in his Money in the Bank. It meant Hardy had no choice in the matter, and 2 minutes later Punk was a two-time champ. We know what was to follow after this, and boy howdy did he go and leave his mark both here and down the line. Number 8, Sting. Way back at Starrcade 1992, WCW rolled out the Battle Bowl, a bizarre tournament where wrestlers got split into tag teams with the winning pair going on to a battle royal that main evented the show. Because who wants simplicity in wrestling? Not me. Here Sting was put alongside Dr. Death Steve Williams, and they went into a match against Jushin Liger and Eric Watts, which by today's terms would be John Cena and Brock Lesnar being pitted against Kalisto and a helpless fish. This is why it should come as no surprise that Sting and Williams destroyed Watts with ease, as Liger just watched on. You have to imagine this was done on purpose, because later on Sting had to wrestle Vader in the finals of the King of Cable tournament. As we all know, Vader hit people like he didn't know wrestling was fake. Sting didn't give two craps though, and had one hell of a match with his nemesis as he tried to glide like an eagle as Vader crushed his ribs. Sting won there as well, which meant he had a darn good event all things considered, although he fell short in the Battle Bowl itself, probably because he was exhausted. That win went to the Great Muta. Number 7, Seth Rollins. One of the best finishes to any WrestleMania ever, Seth Rollins stealing the WWE title from Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar at 31 is still something we're talking about today. While he was planning this, Rollins was also going through a bitter war with Randy Orton. The story was Seth wanted to kill Randy's legend, which meant the Viper wanted to stay alive. as fair. The match they had earlier on the card was no easy ride either, as both guys threw everything at each other, including an incredible finish where Orton RKO'd Seth out of the sky after he'd gone for the curb stomp. It was and is brilliant. You should go and watch it right now. When he noticed that Reigns and Lesnar were seemingly legit trying to break each other's bones, however, Seth realized he had a Money in the Bank briefcase by his side and seized the opportunity. That turned the final match into a triple threat, and it did go a little while, especially compared to most cash-ins. It still fell in favor of the briefcase holder as he stomped Reigns' face into the mat to win his first world title. It was fantastic and likely untoppable in many ways. It had everything going for it: drama, tension, a weird sense of satisfaction. Rollins was a disgusting heel, and we still love this. How could you not? Number 6, Kurt Angle. This one is a little different, as Kurt Angle almost killed Shane McMahon during the 2001 King of the Ring. Maybe we should have just shut down shop on this evening and gone home. We did not, and Angle decided he would keep his place in the King of the Ring bracket alongside Edge, Christian and Rhino, as well as try and sort out his feud with Shane O'Mac. Started well for the Olympic gold medalist, as he defeated Christian to advance. He fell short when coming up against Edge, but that wasn't his fault. Shane himself distracted the referee, which got Edge out of the ankle lock and on his path to victory. Kurt was pissed, but knew that he could get his hands on this idiot the match after next. As we do know though, McMahon matches are a special kind of crazy, and this was too. They battled all over the arena until they found themselves at the entrance ramp. Seeing there was some glass that could be thrown through, Angle grabbed Shane and chucked him through it, only to find it wouldn't break. So he tried again, and again, and again, and each time it didn't work, and McMahon landed on his head. It was horrific. It ended when Kurt Angle slammed him from the top rope, but both guys must have been spent after this, especially Angle. He wrestled 3 times on this night and didn't hold back at all. Crazy, crazy man. Number 5, The Rock. Lots of people went more than once during the Survivor Series 1998 tournament, but only one man went on to win it, and that was The Rock. He also turned heel and screwed us all, but hey ho, it worked, and we had been a jackass to him first. Designed to crown a new WWE champion after the belt had been held up, it was a who's who of Attitude Era stars, which gave it some real credence. How on earth was WWE gonna take care of all these egos and have only one person finish in first place? Rock started off the evening by winning one of the shortest matches ever when he beat the Big Boss Man by pinfall. The official time was 3 seconds. The beauty here was that at the time it seemed shocking, but actually played into the story after the fact. It was genius. Rocky followed this up by beating Ken Shamrock. In round 3, however, Rock came up against The Undertaker, and that's where eyebrows went up. Ain't no way the dead man was losing clean, and we were right. Kane appeared to get his brother DQ'd, and you'd have to think the Big Red Machine was doubly pissed as he had been beaten by Taker in the previous round. It was on to the finals then, and here the Great One found himself toe-to-toe with Mankind. As with all their scraps, it became a case of trying to murder each other, and while it wasn't as bad as the I Quit bout they'd have a few months later, it was still rather brutal. Rocky would win by reimagining the Montreal Screwjob from a year earlier, and use this night to become the biggest bad guy in wrestling. It, ironically, rocked. Number 4, Randy Savage. Much like the Survivor Series, WrestleMania 4 was all about anointing a new top guy through the magic of a tournament, which meant a few wrestlers were ready for a long old night. A 14-man bracket was going to find ourselves a new champ, and before all was said and done, it was Randy Savage who beat Butch Reed, Greg Valentine, One Man Gang, and Ted DiBiase all in one night. The Macho Man earned that damn belt. Savage beat Reed handily enough, though he struggled a bit with Valentine before scoring a small package pin. One Man Gang, being the tactical genius that he was, got DQ'd for hitting an exhausted Savage with a cane, even though the referee was looking right at him. Macho would then tangle wonderfully with DiBiase, which he won when Hogan ran out to hit Andre the Giant and Ted with a chair, which yes, probably would make Hulk a bad guy. The only question mark we were left with is why WWE didn't go with Savage vs Steamboat 2, given how the tournament could have unfolded. Steamboat lost his first round match to Valentine, stealing away what surely would have been an awesome nod back to the year prior. Word on the street was Ricky had annoyed management by asking for time off, but even then, don't hurt the fans because of internal politics. If only that was always the way. Number 3, Chris Jericho. Did you know that Chris Jericho defeated The Rock and Steve Austin in the same night to become the first ever WWE Undisputed Champion? If you didn't, you are not a wrestling fan from the early 2000s where Y2J only said those words for about 3 years. Fair play to him though, it was an amazing accomplishment, especially as not too many people had Jericho down as the winner before Vengeance 2001 kicked off. Not that surprising when you look at the competition. It was quite the path too. Jericho first had to defeat The Rock for the WCW WWE Championship, which he did with great difficulty. Rocky was in top form, shrugging off several different Walls of Jericho applications and even DDTing Chris through the announce table. Jericho survived it all though, and capitalized on a distraction from Vince McMahon to hit a low blow rock bottom combination to win. Of course, Jericho had no time to savor his victory and was immediately interrupted by a pretty fresh Steve Austin. Stone Cold beat Jericho from pillar to post until McMahon got involved again, but that was soon countered by Ric Flair also getting involved. The Rattlesnake was able to submit Chris with the Walls of Jericho during a ref bump, but then Booker T appeared by magic to smash Austin with his own belt and gave Jericho the pin. This also means it was from here we got Austin hunting Booker T down in a grocery store, and as we know, that is an all-time classic. So this was a good night all round. Number 2, Bret Hart. WrestleMania 10 was a complicated pay-per-view. As both Bret Hart and Lex Luger had won the '94 Raw Rumble, meaning they both got a shot against champion Yokozuna, we had to make sure the playing field was fair. So Luger went first with the promise of the winner squaring off against Hart later, but that also meant Bret needed another match on the card to keep everything even. Step in Brother Owen. Enraged with jealousy and hate for his sibling, the younger Hart played this role perfectly and backed it up by being amazing in the ring. You could see it etched on his face throughout how desperate he was to get the victory here, and his sheer satisfaction after pulling out the clean win is a memory for life. This is all before you remember this match as an absolute classic and evidence that Owen deserved a world title run. Since Luger lost like a Burke earlier in the night, the Hitman got his chance against Yoko, took advantage of a missed Bonsai drop, and lifted the world title much to my own personal pleasure. It completed an amazing double header for Bret, which also showcased two completely different approaches to his match style, where not only did he put over younger talent, but also created a personal highlight in the same damn evening. Number 1, Daniel Bryan. It's hard to think of any other wrestler in history that wrestled more than once in a night with as much love and support as Daniel Bryan did at WrestleMania 30. Proving any doubters wrong on this night, Bryan defeated Triple H to work his way into the main event before beating Randy Orton and Batista to become the WWE Champion. It was such a feel-good moment it still makes me smile when I think about it. Thousands of people just shouting yes at the top of their lungs. What really rocked was that Bryan's first match against the game was one of Triple H's best in Mania history. Seeing Daniel actually win with a running knee allowed the fans to dream. This hit a wall when Hunter kicked the crap out of him afterwards, but it was all heading down the right path. When we got to the end of the night too, Bryan spent most of it being hurled around the ring by his larger opponents and trying to protect his shattered ribs. That didn't work, as before long he'd also been put through a table, and it did not look good for the GOAT. His will was too much mind, and after a valiant comeback he locked Batista in the yes lock, which saw the Hollywood superstar tap out. He raised the belt above his head like it was a proper achievement, and I don't think anybody on earth has ever begrudged him of this. In a weird twist, his subsequent retirement made this all the sweeter still, and it's even more hilarious today, given that now he's an environmentalist bad guy. Only in wrestling. Know of any other best times WWE stars pulled double duty? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Then you head over to WhatCulture.com and read yourself some articles. Follow What Culture on Twitter, What Culture WWE, and go and watch more videos here on What Culture Wrestling. My name is Simon from What Culture. I love you, and I'll talk to you again soon.